Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
In the golden haze of early modern history, where religion and empire wove an intricate dance of conquest, belief, and power, one episode stands out as an unexpected confluence of spiritual ambition and political miscalculation: the time the Vatican sought to conquer the Ethiopian highlands. This was no crusade in the traditional sense, no roaring cavalry of steel-clad knights storming a heretic fortress. Instead, it was a more subtle and insidious campaign, led not by generals but by missionaries, theologians, and emissaries of the Holy See, their weapons being words, persuasion, and a zealous vision of Christian unity. It was a clash not of armies, but of theologies, cultures, and imperial aspirations. And it ended, rather famously, in failure. To understand how the papacy set its sights on Ethiopia, one must first grasp the peculiar position of Ethiopia in the Christian world. Long isolated by geography and surrounded by Islamic territories, Ethiopia represented an ancient bastion of Christianity. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church traced its roots back to the 4th century CE, claiming a lineage of faith older than most of Europe. It preserved Jewish customs, had its own canon of scripture, and remained proudly independent from both Rome and Constantinople. For centuries, Europeans speculated wildly about this distant kingdom, imagining it as the domain of the mythical Prester John, a Christian monarch hidden in the East, who could tip the balance in Christendom's favor against the Muslim world. By the 16th century, the stage was set for an encounter. The Portuguese, navigating around Africa in pursuit of trade and geopolitical advantage, reached Ethiopia in the early 1500s. They found an empire under siege by Muslim forces from the neighboring Adal Sultanate, led by the formidable Ahmad ibn Ibrahim al-Ghazi, known as Ahmad Grey. In 1541, a contingent of Portuguese musketeers, led by Cristóvão da Gama, arrived in Ethiopia to aid the beleaguered Emperor Gelasius. Though da Gama was captured and executed, the alliance between Portugal and Ethiopia would not end there. With the military campaign concluded, another, more enduring crusade began, the battle for Ethiopia's soul. The Jesuits, spearheading the Vatican's counter-reformation efforts, saw Ethiopia as fertile ground for Catholic expansion. The Church of Rome, under Pope Gregory XV and later Urban VIII, sought to correct what it saw as schismatic heresies in the Ethiopian Orthodox faith. The Jesuits' mission was not merely to coexist with the Ethiopians, but to convert them, to bring their ancient rites under the umbrella of Roman Catholic Orthodoxy. In 1603, the Jesuit Pedro Paz arrived in Ethiopia. A brilliant linguist and scholar, Paz won the trust of Emperor Susenio's I. Over years of careful diplomacy and personal charisma, Paz succeeded where others had failed. He converted the emperor himself. But Paz's approach was gradual, respectful, and nuanced. He did not seek to impose Latin rites by force, and he avoided provoking the local clergy. His death in 1622, however, marked a turning point. Enter Afonso Mendes, appointed by Pope Urban VIII as the Patriarch of Ethiopia. A man of fire and orthodoxy, Mendes lacked the tact and cultural sensitivity of his predecessor. When he arrived in 1625, he immediately began enforcing Roman Catholic doctrine, invalidating Ethiopian sacraments, anathematizing Orthodox practices, and attempting to dismantle the theological foundations of the native church. His actions alienated both the clergy and the populace. Though Emperor Susennios continued to support the Catholic mission, his people revolted against what they saw as foreign domination. The resulting unrest culminated in civil strife. By 1632, the pressure became unbearable. Susennios abdicated in favor of his son, Fazilides, who swiftly expelled Mendes and the Jesuits, restored the Orthodox Church, and sealed off Ethiopia from further Catholic influence. He burned Catholic texts, dismantled Latin churches, and formally severed diplomatic ties with Rome. Ethiopia returned to its ecclesiastical solitude, defiant and unyielding. The Vatican's attempt to subdue Ethiopia through spiritual colonization had failed, not due to military defeat, but due to cultural arrogance and theological rigidity. The Jesuits had underestimated the deep roots of Ethiopian Christianity, its proud independence, and the resistance of a people who, while welcoming allies, refused to be subsumed. This episode remains a powerful lesson in the perils of religious imperialism. It illustrates how soft power, when wielded without empathy and understanding, can provoke as much resistance as any armed invasion. The Vatican's Ethiopian venture, ambitious and ill-fated, left a legacy not of unity, but of lasting suspicion between the Roman Church and the Ethiopian state. It remains one of the more fascinating, if less discussed, chapters in the grand narrative of global Christianity.